Alright, it's live. Well, I guess I was planning to do this review sooner or later. I saw Venom yesterday, and, well, I can say it's not the worst. It's not the worst movie, it's not even the worst superhero movie. But it is far from being good. Alright? If I had to compare, I'd say it's probably somewhere in between the first Ghost Rider and the Incredible Hulk. You know, what baffles me the most is that this movie even got made at all. But, okay, apparently there is an after-credit scene. I didn't stay for that. I only stayed for the mid-credit scene, which, spoiler, teases, Carnage. Okay, so I'll just say the most glaringly stupid things about this movie up front. What I found to be the most stupid was the symbiote's personality, most of all. Its personality doesn't make any sense. It's not the personality from the comics. It's kind of like a... I don't know. It's like, it's like the kind of Venom symbiote that would crash your party, drink all your beer, and leave. That's the kind of symbiote that's in this movie. And none of the decisions it made any sense. Like it decides to change and be good and save the Earth in one scene, where like the scene right before it was still wanting to just eat people, and that was it. And Eddie's like, well, what changed your mind? He's like, you did, Eddie. You did. It's like, how? How? They'd only been in communication for like one night. They had not had enough bonding time. Pardon my pun. But they the symbiote knew Eddie, but they were not getting along. And when they were getting along, it was like flip-flopping. It was like, do you like the symbiote or do you not like the symbiote, Eddie? It's like there was no consistency. There's a lot of... The symbiote makes a lot of jokes. And by that, I do not mean the symbiote is telling a lot of jokes, but a lot of what the symbiote says is meant to be taken as a joke. And it's just, it does not fit the character. Tom Hardy does a good job as Eddie Brock. He's not Eric Foreman. But and seeing the trailers, I was kind of worried about it because it looked like Eddie Brock was constantly in a hangover. And when you watch the movie, yeah, that's actually kind of what he is. He is heavily drinking and sweaty and all that. Okay, number 2 was the second most glaring problem, though, was the editing. It was very, very obvious that it was meant to be rated R, and then they just sliced and diced it up, stitched back together some of the pieces to make it PG-13. Because, like, Venom bites a lot of people's heads off, but when he does it, it's really weird, because it's, like, right at the edge of the screen, and it does not look like someone just had their head bit off. It looks like they had their head deleted from reality. Like, that's Venom's new power, I guess. He'll delete your head from reality. The dark stuff that was in the movie was really dark, but it wasn't allowed to go too far. Riot? Riot was kind of... He was just a bigger, grayer, lumpier Venom who could do all the carnage moves with the shape-shifting weapons. That scene in the trailer where it looks like Venom just turns his arms into blades and then slashes across the room, that wasn't Venom, that was Riot. There are no other symbiote characters, really. She-Venom does make an appearance, sort of. It's just like, it's just Eddie Brock's girlfriend gets the symbiote for one scene, and then it goes back to him. And okay. The third stupidest thing about the movie. During the end credits, they gave Venom a rap theme song. Apparently it was done by Eminem, but still, the fact that they gave Venom a rap theme song for this... It feels like they reinvented Venom for 14-year-olds, you know? He kind of... The symbiote has the personality of a 14-year-old. I got it now. That's what it is. An edgy 14-year-old. But not the emotional kind, is like, I'm so cool kind, you know? It's weird. There were things I did like about the movie. There were good parts in it. The performances were really good. Sometimes even the action was pretty good. It was just, you know, a bit lower budget than Infinity War. But, I know they've been trying to get a Venom movie out there since Spider-Man 3. Like, the first draft of a Venom movie was going to be a spin-off of Spider-Man 3, and it was going to have Carnage, but Spider-Man 4 was also going to have Carnage. But didn't Eddie Brock and the symbiote both die in Spider-Man 3? Like, there's literally just a bone left. Eddie Brock was just a bone by the end of the movie. Spider-Man 3. The heck was that? It's nothing. But anyway, yeah. But there was good stuff. The action was okay. The action was good. The performances were pretty good. There's even one scene where he was on the motorcycle, and I could have sworn they repurposed some of the Spider-Man 3 Venom music. But, Venom never gets his symbol. You know that, like, white spider symbol they'd been teasing? Like, it's not the symbol from the comics, but it's still a white spider. No, he does not get that in the movie. His chest stays bare. Oh, I almost forgot. The fourth stupidest part of the movie. There are times when characters say the most obvious things in the worst way. Okay, so there's a part where he's talking to a scientist lady, and she's like, we got the aliens, and they're putting them in people to do experiments, and he's like, Wait, aliens? Like E.T. phone home aliens? And she says yes. Then she says, but we call them symbiotes. Like, it's the name drop from the comics, but it's still... And then she's like, and they're putting them in people, and she's like, yeah, but we call them hosts. It's like, of course you call them that. I know they're name dropping symbiote and host from the comics, but there's no reason to. The reason they're called symbiote and host in the comics is because that's literally just what they are. That is their classification as organisms. The symbiotes, the Clintar, they are symbiotic. They're symbiotic organisms. They attach to a life form in order for a mutually beneficial relationship. That's what a symbiote is. That's what they do. That's why they're called symbiotes in the comics. And that one is almost halfway forgivable, but then the hosts, you're putting the symbiotes inside people, and then she's like, yes, but we call them hosts. It's like, of course you do. That's not you. That's not a special name. They house this. They house the organism. Therefore, they are host to the organism. That's the simplest classification. Just the bare description of what it is. But they say it like it's some kind of special name, a code name. And then in the mid-credit scene with Carnage, he's like sitting in his cell and Eddie Brock is interviewing him. And he has like the most cartoonishly fake red hair I've ever seen. I mean, my brother has red hair, but it's natural redhead. And it is a very deep color, but it is not Ronald McDonald. Carnage has Ronald McDonald hair, and in the comics, his hair is still more of an orangish red. But no, they gave him clown hair. He looked like... Oh no. I realized. He looked... Oh no. He looked like James Holmes. He looked like James Holmes when he had the dyed red hair. I don't know if that's intention, is a serial killer or whatnot, but that... I just realized that. Wow. But I digress. What gets me the most is that he's like he's being interviewed by Eddie Brock, and he's like, when I get out of here, and I will. And yes, he has the exaggerated southern accent. It's like, when I get out of here, and I will, there will be carnage. I get it. That's teasing his name, but that's just the most plain, cringeworthy way to deliver, to tease his name. It's just, you know, whenever there's a movie based on a franchise, and then they do the ho ho ho, that guy's such a joker, or it's like, it's when they just tease what they're going to become, you know, but they do it in a way that is just the most blatant and cringeworthy way, you know. It's like the end of The Hobbit is like, Legolas, go find this ranger. He's called Aragorn. I can't remember if that's actually how that scene happened. It's been a while since I saw that movie. But you know what I mean. It happens it happens all the time, and it's always not very good. But, my overall rating, I would say this is a movie you should probably wait to see on Netflix. And when you do, see it with like a friend so you can like joke about it. Because it's not so offensively bad. It is not. If you're a fan, okay, people who do not know the comics, they'll probably like the movie a little bit better. They either don't know that Venom's a Spider-Man character or they don't care. But they're probably going to accept it a lot more easily. So, it's not as bad as Fant4stick. It's just a generic action movie. You know, it's not horrible, but it's not very good. I think that's all I have to say about it. If the sequel actually happens, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like a 99% chance this is not getting accepted into the MCU. But but if it does make enough money back to warrant the sequel, I hope Sony realizes it's not going to go into the MCU and actually make it rated R. Okay, a lot of people are saying you can't do a Venom movie unless it's rated R. And I say that's kind of BS because most of the comics have never been rated R with Venom. And being rated R would not have fixed this movie. All of the same problems that would have been there except for the deleting heads. Or who knows, it may have looked even worse if they tried to make it gory, but being rated R would not have fixed the problems with this movie. They would have still been there. You know, Deadpool did not work just because it's rated R. Logan did not work just because it was rated R. They were rated R, but they were also well made. The people who wrote those movies and directed those movies cared about making them good movies and accurate adaptations of the comics. For the most part, anyway. But if you just slap the rated R... If you just slap R rating onto it, throw in a bunch more foul language, bunch more blood, some nudity possibly, that would not fix any of the problems in this movie at all. Being rated R would not have fixed Fant4stick. You know, rated R would not have fixed, I don't know. What's another really bad movie? Geely. Was Geely rated R? I don't know. I never saw that movie. But if it is, or if it was, the problems that make it a bad movie are still there, you know. But I think if they do the R rating for Venom 2 with Carnage, but they actually handle it well, like Sony takes a step back and lets the director do his job, it could be much better. I don't think it would be great, but it could at least be good, you know? At least a Spider-Man 1, at least a The Wolverine. If they do a Venom trilogy, hopefully they can make it like the Wolverine trilogy, where the first one is the worst one. Then the second one is actually pretty good, but, you know, not great, but the Wolverine is not great, but it's at least good. It's a decent movie. And then part 3 was great. It improved with each installment, and I hope that's what this can do if it ever gets its sequel. Anyway, overall, it's bad, but it's not very bad. And with that, I think I have to call this, well, I'm not calling it short, but I'm calling it something. This review has to end pretty much right now. So, I don't know, let me know what you guys thought of the movie in the comments, and I'll see you later.